Hey guys, what's up? Tonight's featured guest is LB out of Vancouver. Thanks for being
What
on the
up?
show.
Thank you for having me. Let's get to the
Yeah,
party.
definitely. So tell us a bit about your music style.
No problem. Okay, so for me, I'll try to keep this interesting as I can for the listeners who are peeving in. Um, I come from a super introspective style of rap. So it's very grimy, very underground, but at the same time, it's very personal, which means I try to relate as much as I can. I find that I'm the kind of person where I'm so introverted that I don't really talk to many like friends or family or therapists about issues. But the pen and pad will never judge you. So you can always go to your pen and pad and say certain things, and you'll speak your mind without it ever judging you back. So that's the kind
Right,
of music I try to make.
definitely. That's awesome. So
Yeah.
what's the latest project that you released?
So I recently, on this topic, released a project called The Counselor. Um, what I do a lot when I first started making music. So I'll give you like a brief 5 minute little segment of how I got into this.
Okay.
Uh, I'm not a naturally born or gifted rapper. That's for me. For me, like I was like that guy who was drunk at a party trying to freestyle, and it was just really bad. It took me a lot of years to actually study the craft and learn how it works. So I'm not naturally gifted. So when I started first doing it, I would just make little songs on my phone, which are still on YouTube, and send it to my friends, and then we'd make little songs with each other back. But it was never good. Like I was offbeat. I couldn't count my syllables. I didn't know how to do anything right. So fast forward, I end up traveling the world for a year, and I come back and I traveled alone and I was unfulfilled. I said, I need to come back and I need to do something that I enjoy. And doing work like I'm used to working in management or like for corporate companies. So I was like, I need something I enjoy doing. So then my buddy's like, listen, I got a studio that they just built on East Hastings. For those of you who don't know, East Hastings is the worst street in British Columbia. It's just all crackheads, and it's not a street you want to be down. So our slot for the studio was from midnight to 6 a.m. when it was the worst period for crime.
Figures.
So but I got into the studio, right? And we started. So they didn't give us. We paid for studio time, but I never got training and how to. I had to mix my own music. I had to learn how to use Ableton. I'm not very. I wasn't great at like the computer programs and shit. So we got into the studio, and I just remember like my buddy and I were googling YouTube videos, and he's just like press record, and I got up to the mic, and I shit you not, I had so much written down in music of how I was feeling because I was going through like my fiance and I we split at the time, lost work, I was homeless at the time.
Oh
Nothing good
man.
was happening. Nothing good was happening, right? Like I came back and it wasn't good. And I was living on my buddy's like his concrete floor at the time too. So I stepped into the booth and I started rapping, obviously off beat because at the time I wasn't very good, but I did. And then I just remember like tearing up in my eyes. And I'm like, these are years of written shit that I've never told anybody. And I'm able to say it and speak it off my chest. And, and that's kind of what kept me at it. Like we just kept going every night in that slot and we just got better and better and better and better at it. But then the problem came with the music is when you start talking about certain things like how you feel emotionally and breakups and you're and living in poverty, it's one thing to record it, but then it's a second thing to market it and have people listen
Right.
and people close to you listening. Because for me, like I was terrified because I'm an introvert, so I don't really do much unless it's work related. um it was terrifying for me. For the first 3 years I didn't want anyone to hear my music,
Hmm.
which is kind of where the name Lexi Black came from, or what LB short for is. I did it in alias as we were kind of joking when we made it. We were drunk one night and we're just, that name came up being drunk one night. And then we're like, okay, just stick with the name because like we don't really know if we want to market it or if we want to just do this for fun.
Right.
And then after 3 years, I said, okay, let's press the button and let's actually make this shit go. Like I'm confident now in my craft that believe I'm a good enough artist where it's like we're at a stage where we're able to market it. We have a team. Like I have my own label now behind me with videographers, photographers, engineers, the whole shebang, a bunch of studios around Canada. So it's coming along, but let me tell you, for those people who are at home and like, man, I wish I can be an artist or do anything. I'm not born with this talent, and it just took practicing. It just took practicing. That's all it is.
And dedication. A lot of it, it sounds like.
You have to be patient, and you have to want to do this not for money, because you won't make money for the first 10 years, or at least that's what I'm told from the bigger artists.
Right. Yeah.
So
well, so, and I mean, this project that you put out though, is it on like, Spotify and SoundCloud? And
all my music is on everything: SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube. I have music videos, Instagram. I'll try to be very active on everything, and every DM or comment I get, I reply to. It's a must. I check daily to make sure like I'm on my game.
Right. That's cool. And do you, is it under Lexi Black, or is everything under LB?
LB. So L.B. Okay. And it's the same picture for every account. So once you find one account, same profile picture for all of them. Makes it a bit easier.
And guys, obviously I'm going to put that information in the podcast notes too, so you'll be able to find all of his music. So, are you working on anything now? Do you have anything that's going to be coming out soon?
I am. I just finished. As we speak, in 2 days, I should be getting my master's back for my next project.
Nice.
So my next project, I was actually supposed to release on November 7th, but because of the presidential election and it messing up, like artists right now, it's very difficult to put out music because the marketing budgets for the campaigns, for all the presidential campaigns, are affecting all the advertising for being an artist. So I decided to push it till February when everything, because if November you can't market, in December no one's really listening to rap, they're listening to Christmas music and stuff. Right. And then January is kind of like when everyone goes back to work, like the blogs and labels, and it's a month of refreshing and going through emails. So February I feel is a good time, and it'll be called Compartmentalize, and it's going to be a grimy, more like Griselda-esque sound where it's very just boom bappy but dark, very dark.
All right, that's cool sounding, and that's super smart, your marketing strategy to wait until February, and why you're waiting, that's really thoughtful. You put a lot of thought into this. So
one thing we learned how to do, because like I started throwing my own events in my city in Vancouver, and I plan on, once this whole COVID thing's over, throwing my own jams. It's almost like a little party I throw at a bar, and anyone can just come in for free, and we give out goodie bags and shit.
Nice.
But whether it's marketing for the event or marketing, our team, my whole team's hands-on, and we don't get paid for this. Like we get our money through other avenues, whether, wherever it comes from, but we just do it to grow this to the city, because Vancouver is one of those cities as well in Canada where everyone, when you talk about Canada, you talk about Toronto, you talk about, the Drakes and the Biebers and all the Tory Lanes and them out there. No one talks about Vancouver, and we have the most talented artists, but the problem is we have such a little music scene where when we throw little ciphers around the city, there's like a good amount of people come, but only so many people who can support the scene, right?
Yeah. So
it's very close knit, good relationships, super friendly people throughout the city. Only problem is we don't have anyone looking for us here. So I'm trying to pave the way and build that for the city.
Yeah. You actually worked your way right into my next question. So that's pretty cool, because I was going to tell you to go ahead and tell us, a little bit about Vancouver's hip hop scene, because I know that, I actually know a couple guys in that area, and I know that it's really underappreciated. So I would like to definitely help you guys, get some ears listening to you.
So here's some advice I'll give to anyone who comes from one of these cities. Number one, I completely support independent artists. I believe in independence, like not getting signed to a major, because you'll get screwed over even more in the long run. Though you might not have that advance up front, you'll get screwed in the long run. But for me, like, I've been able to throw music videos that cost thousands of dollars with $40,000 cameras, a whole lighting crew and everything. And I've done it for like $200-300.
Wow.
Because it's such a do-it-yourself city, one thing you have to really do is go out. Like, I'll be honest, for me, I use Facebook a lot when it comes to connecting with people, like looking for, that's how I found a lot of my videographers and photographers and models and actors who act in the videos. And I'm working on a TV script, hopefully will be piloted in 2022, about like a story about Vancouver and kind of my life story about coming up from poverty into this music thing.
Nice. That's awesome.
But the number one thing I say is, if you reach out to people, there are so many students who will do it for free just to put it on their resume. And the same thing goes with event management. My whole team is just a bunch of students. And they just put, like, they'll help me give out 2,000 flyers to get 200 people to come to a show. And I'm there on the street, like, giving out these flyers, like, here's a coupon code. I will pay money out of my pocket for you to come to the show and give you a free drink, just because I want you to come and help support the city and grow the city through that.
Right. That's pretty dope. And yeah, so you mean like going on Facebook groups, right?
Facebook groups, Facebook communities, Instagram. I've found like going into the little, because I'm learning all this too. I'm not the most savvy technological person, but I'm learning about going into Instagram and going to your city. And you can find, like, I found some sick videographers in the Okanagan region, where there's like not a huge hip hop scene at all. And there's some amazing talent, just kids in school who are just like, we wish that we can work with artists. We want to build our resume, and we'll do it for free or a couple $100. But compared to a $2,000 videographer who can do the same thing.
Right. Huh. You know what I should do? I should set up like a page where, like, a community where you guys can all just specifically, people that are looking for those students and the students that are looking for the artists can meet.
It will help. It'll help a lot of people.
Yeah. And, you know, just cut out all the searching. It would just be like, bam, like, you guys are all right there, you know. I'll look into doing that today, actually.
And it's a big thing when you're genuine. Like, what I can tell from you and what I could tell from your fan base and my fans who follow me is, we all come from a genuine area where we're trying to build something, or we're on a goal to help build a culture. Because I say that because though you can do this Facebook stuff, you got to be wary, because there are some sketchy people who will get you to do work and they won't pay you at the end of the day. For example, if you're on the receiving end of it.
Right.
So just be wary. Like, it's always good to sit down, have a genuine conversation, and like build contracts. I build my contracts myself through Word. It doesn't have to be like a lawyer making it, but have something set in stone so you don't get fucked over, because it happens a lot.
Yep, definitely. You know what I use with my interns is, there's an app called Deal Done.
Oh, sick.
And it's all one word, deal done. And it makes up a contract for you like that, like nothing. And then you email it to the other person, they sign it, and that's a real contract.
Deal done. Okay, I'm gonna download that right after this.
Yeah, definitely.
I've been writing them out myself.
I'll put that in the notes for you guys too, because that's super important. I use that with like my interns and stuff, so nobody gets fucked over, you know?
Yeah. God, we need that.
So, yeah, I mean, is there anything else that you wanted to add? Obviously not shows coming up, but anything?
Yeah, no, I guess the focus has been a lot, for a lot of artists and myself, to be honest. I just noticed that it's a lot of online focusing right now, like trying to figure out ways to build video series or get music videos out. For me, what I was doing this whole year is I put out a single every month for the year.
Yeah.
And I put a lot of money behind it to market the singles and an album. And same thing, like I have a single that's going to be dropping first week of December, which is a addition to the first song I ever wrote. So it's Candles in December. And it's going to be talking about serious issues that are going on right now. One thing I like to talk about is that makes me a bit different or more unique, so I'm told, is a lot of artists can come talk about being in the business aspect of music, come from the streets aspect, the dealing. What people don't talk about when you talk about drug dealing is how somebody actually feels being in that life, because it's fucking not fun.
Right.
It's very miserable having to be out overnight and getting paid pennies for something that you've seen your favorite artist do. It doesn't work that way. And on top of that, in the corporate side of things, a lot of people who listen to this kind of music don't really know how the corporate side works. And there's a lot of shadiness that goes on there.
Definitely.
So I try to correlate the two together. So I try to give a little bit of advice that I know from the business side of things, but also from the street side of like letting people know, like, your favorite artists are talking about all these chains and all this shit, but your favorite artists are renting everything that you see in the videos. And it's not that good of a life when you're living on the streets with a record and you can't vote and you can't do shit. You can't get a normal job and support your family after a certain age because of your past history or the situations you're putting yourself in.
Definitely. That is for sure. Definitely. So, all right. Well, it's been great talking, and I'm so glad that I had you on the show, and you had so many great things to say, and it's, been super interesting. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me on the show. And this is an amazing community you're building here. And to the fans out there, if you need some music to relate to during these depressing, cloudy times, something grimy, then I got the music for you. Just search L.B on Spotify and see if you fuck with it.
All right. Excellent. Take it easy.
See you later.
Bye.